Hey everyone, welcome to Oscar's very first lecture. This is going to be the first of many lectures. I decided to do this one first because some of the guys are having issues with troubleshooting the lab issues. So in this lecture we will be going over the lab interfaces. So that includes the orders and the demographics that process through, as well as the results that come back. Unfortunately, I don't have a diagram built for the results interface coming back into Paragon, but basically it's just the same principle. So the orders that originate from Paragon go to the DI and DI to the lab machines, and then the results are the reverse, right? So they go from the lab machines to the DI back into Paragon. So just some terminology to help you clarify and troubleshoot better. So you get a call at 2, 3 in the morning and the lab associate is saying that my demographics aren't interfacing, or something to the effect of the machines are not reading the barcodes. So what does that mean? And then what do we look at for that? So when an order is placed in Paragon, the end-tier server splits, right? So it sends through to the interface manager, which we'll get to that in a minute. But through the Forms web station, Paragon prints a stat or a routine label. And this label has a barcode. So the barcode is very specific to the patient and to the order, to the accession number. So that is the label that they are referring to, the label that is on the specimen. So when they load the specimen onto the machine, and the machine takes the specimen, it scans the barcode, and as it's scanning the barcode, it comes out blank. That means it's not understanding the barcode. So that means it's not understanding the demographics, it's not understanding the barcode. And those two terms are very important to understand when trying to troubleshoot with labs. So if they say the demographics or the labels aren't reading, then that's this portion here. If they say everything's not interfacing, then that's different. But if they say just the demographics aren't reading, or they're not interfacing, this is what we're looking at. So we went over this portion here, right? So this is the print routing portion where the label is printed. Now, in order for the machines in lab to understand the labels, we have an interface through the interface manager. So if you open up Internet Explorer, you're going to go to end-tier prod/imgr, and let me or Daniel know if you don't have access. We'll definitely get you access. Okay, so this is the first step in the orders interface. So the order is leaving Paragon, right? So what do we understand by that? That means that it is an outbound interface. So it is going out of Paragon. It is an outbound interface. I've listed that here. See if we can do the side by side. Okay. So I've listed that here. I've said that, it's interface 12 and 13, right? We have interfaces 12 and 13 here, or actually it's just one interface. One is the client and the other one is a formatter. The client is what sends and receives. The formatter is what converts the messages in order for the party outbound to understand, or the party inbound, which is us, to understand the message. So basically like a translator. So let me go ahead and close this. Okay, so we log into the interface manager, right? We see one interface here, right? This is one interface, inbound, and a second interface, outbound. Okay. Again, I listed it over there. The one for the orders are 12 and 13. That's the outbound. So the first thing to check if there's an the first thing to check is if there's anything in the queue. So my queue is 0. What that means is that Paragon has sent all of the messages, all of the demographics over to the next step, which is to the DI. So nothing is stopped up here. The interface is running. So this portion here is good. If you see that your queue is building up or it's built up, the best thing to do is to stop and to start. When I hit stop, you'll get a start button here. I won't do that so I don't mess up the interface over there. But if you click the stop button, it'll stop the interface, and then you can click start to refresh it. And then just make sure that the queue goes down, which means that all of the jobs have processed. If you see that only a couple of items crossed and then the interface stopped again, then we'll take it down along the line. That means that we need to refresh the connection between Paragon and DI. So another issue I know is going on is the inability to locate the DI. So which isn't any, it's not anybody's fault. We have changed the name frequently. I think the name is DI2 now. We've changed the IP, right, since we were on downtime. DI1 is DI2, or the the IPs have changed. So what I like to do to make sure that I'm logging into the right place is click here on the 12, and this will give me the details for the interface, right? So obviously details for the interface. So this one tells me that the interface ID is 12. The protocol and the port number, that's going to be important. It's sending over port number 9000. And then the server IP is here. So the second or third step, I suppose, to troubleshooting is to see if we can communicate with this IP. So if I try to RDP, or if I try to ping into this IP here and I'm not getting a response, that means that the DI is down, and that's where your issue is. That actually means either the DI is down, or maybe somebody is doing maintenance and we weren't made aware of it. Somebody changed the IP. Could mean a lot of things. Most of the time, if you're not able to ping it, or if you're not able to connect, the DI is down, and you'll have to call the lab to go ahead and restart or to turn on the DI. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy this IP. Okay, sorry, I had it open. So I'm going to copy this IP, going to remote into it, or try to remote into it, right? So 10.1.4.89, connect. Okay, it's giving me a login screen, right? So that means I'm pretty much good to go. So I'm going to log in. Okay. So this here is the DI, or let me close this out. Okay, more frequently you'll log into a screen that looks like this. So the next step is to see if the interfaces on the DI are working properly. So we're going to open up the interface manager. The instrument manager, system status. Okay, so we're going to look at this interface here. So obviously list orders live. So this is where the orders go into. And if we look down here, where is it? It keeps flashing up. Come on, bam. So IP 9000. So this is listening for the orders on the port 9000. So we're looking at the right interface. Okay, so what happens, and I'll open up the diagram again. Okay, so we're basically at this step here. So we went through the interface manager. We've checked these interfaces in N-tier, in Paragon, and we see that everything's okay. So we've logged into the DI, and we are checking this interface here to see if everything is okay. So list orders live, port 9000. This order is live on port 9000. Great. So there's an in. Okay, so it looks like it's trying to process right now. Okay, let's see if we can refresh. Should we refresh here somewhere? Let's do this. Okay, so looks like it's trying to process a couple orders here. So if you see that it says connecting, like it does here, this is an older machine that we don't use anymore. If you or off, obviously off is a bad sign. So if you see that it says connecting, and then you look over here, so 1221. This one's okay, but it'll say something to the effect of could not connect or could not resolve connection with IP on port 9000, something like that. So it'll let you know that it's having issues connecting. So you can right click stop and then start the connection and see if that helps. So that's specifically this one here. Now a couple of minutes ago I had said that if you notice, you've restarted this interface and only a couple of items are processing in the queue at a time, and the interface keeps stopping. The best thing to do is to stop, and then we'll do this real fast. So the best thing to do is to stop both of these services, right? Go over here to the DI and see, notice how when I stopped it says connecting. So remote client disconnected from IM on port 9000. So I've closed the connection. Go here, right click on cache, stop cache, and restart. So it's going to refresh all of the connections. And this is just going to take a second, so lab's not going to really notice. Okay, so it'll close out the instrument manager. Now it's starting the cache. As the cache is starting, what you want to do is start these interfaces. Okay, so that will get these two to connect properly. And then as you notice, this was trying to start. Let's refresh the page. Okay, so running, cool, great. Go back to the DI. Instrument manager, yes, that's fine. Okay, and it's starting up because we restarted the cache. Come on. Oh. All right, and we're going to accept and log in. System, status, bam. So this one is still trying to resolve the connection. Bam, on, cool, we're great. The XN will connect momentarily. This one's kind of slow to connect. And the Elite was already connecting, so this one's old. And that's pretty much it. So yeah, there you go. Bam. XN is now connecting. So that will resolve any connection issues for the orders. Okay, and then once the orders come here, right, they distribute to the individual machines. So these correspond to actual machines upstairs in the lab. This is from Quest, so that's not actually a machine. XN is a machine. Cobus splits to two other machines, so these correspond to actual machines upstairs. So if they specify one specific machine is not working, you can pinpoint it here. If it says connecting or it says off, ask them which one it is, and then you can give that a start, and then that way the orders will process. Okay. So the next portion is the results that come back. Again, unfortunately, I don't have a diagram for that just yet, but basically it's the same process in reverse. Okay, so this lists results live is what sends back to Paragon. So if this says connecting or off, that's probably where your issue is. So if the lab calls and says none of the results are processing, the results aren't interfacing, or if they say nothing's interfacing, right? So you're going to check both of these if they say nothing is interfacing. If they say it's just the results, check this interface. Okay. We're going to go down here. This is listening on 9000. 9001. So that's going to be important later to pinpointing it. Also listening, I'm sorry, not listening. This one is sending on port 9001 to IP 10.1.1.247. So what's 247? You guessed it. Give me a second. Let me pull up. NS lookup 10.1.1.247. Bam, it's N tier. Big surprise. Okay, so also good to check if this IP is correct. Okay, again, obviously if we make big changes, we notify one another, but there was a time where all of a sudden the IP changed, so it's good to check to make sure that this IP is correct here. Okay, so that's the first step. Then we minimize this, so we're back to the interface manager. So we did the outbound, right? The 12 and 13, interface is 12 and 13. And now we're doing 10 and 11. So this is coming in. Okay, so orders go out, right? Results come in. If we look here for the details of the interface, bam, look at that, 9001, big surprise, right? If we look here and we see the queue is stopped up, just the same thing, stop and start this service here. This interface here to get the items to process. Okay. Now there's one additional step for the results to post into Paragon. So this goes into N tier, and then N tier has to use LabProc, the lab processor, to go ahead and post into Paragon. So we're going to open another RDP session. So we're going to remote to lab proc p. Now I already have these credentials saved on my computer, but it's very, 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 very important that you remote to lab proc with the lab proc credentials. Okay, so if you don't do this and if you log in with your own, you're gonna ruin everything and you'll have to restart the server anyway. So log in with the lab proc credentials to see what's going on. Okay, so usually this is what it looks like when you log in. These two processors should be open. This is the Paragon processor for the label printing, and this is the results processor. So both of these should be running. If they're not, that's where your issue is. Okay. So let's say, again, we're going back to the issue with the results not posting. So you've restarted, your service on the DI. Your interface on the DI. You've restarted your interface on N tier. Okay. When you come back here, a flood of results should start posting. Okay. So this is a way to check your work and make sure that the results are posting. You can go into Paragon. You can go into the lab application and search, but this is the easiest way to tell. So you should have results every 30 minutes to an hour, depending on the time of day. Usually overnight, it's every hour seems okay. Everything more, any time gap more than that is suspicious. Okay, so currently it is 12:47. Last result was at 12:44. We're okay. Let's say I log in, right? It's 2 in the morning, the lab associate says the results aren't processing. I've restarted my DI interface. I've restarted my N tier interface, and I go here and I see that nothing's happening. Okay, so it's 2 o'clock. the last result I have was, let's say at midnight, right? The best thing to do is to hit pause, which will close this application, and then reopen it from the desktop. Okay, with the LabProc credentials. I can't stress that enough. Or at least I think it's the LabProc. I'm sorry, no, with the IFC credentials. Okay, that's for the lab results processor. If you see that you did that, right, and there's still no flurry of results coming in very fast, then your issues with the server itself. Sometimes, there's a service there are two services that are running, which is stopping the results to post. So the best thing to do is to just restart the server and to log in as LabProc, open up both of these applications, and you should see the results flooding in. So that's pretty much it. There's a lot more detail, a lot of little nitty-gritty stuff that really isn't important when you're on call. This is the prime examples that we get when we're on call, and the best ways to troubleshoot it. So I'll try to get a diagram done and post it together with this video. But hopefully this helped. Thanks. Bye.